The exploration phase then is the second phase of the practical inquiry model, and we're going to do some short mini lectures, and then we're going to do some activities where we are determining how well you understand the material. And hopefully I've done my job well with this. So the first topic is really about the congruent attitudes between faculty and technology administrators. And again, it comes from the survey that I referenced earlier. And the three topics are time, money, and quality. And so time is the use of educational technology has led to somewhat improved student learning outcomes over time. So we're beginning to see that educational technology is starting to improve learning outcomes. And both faculty and administrators believe that to be true. They also believe that textbooks are too high-priced and instructors should use online textbooks and free online educational resources. And then the quality of online education, both faculty and administrators believe that there should be outside accreditors that conduct separate surveys on online courses as opposed to how face-to-face classes are evaluated. So I find that interesting. A key point from Garrison out of the textbook is that e-learning is really evidence-based. So there's some science behind it, and it, as a strategic asset, the quality of education entails added time, effort, and money to promote innovative and successful learning organizations. So that's just a really key point that Garrison tries to build on throughout his text. And so let's validate what we've learned from this, from the coherency between faculty and administrators. So what I want you to do with this is you should be able to, if I did my job right, you should be able to select right across the where the emotive smiley face is, go over to the fourth one and you'll see an A, and a drop-down menu will give you an A through D. So we're going to answer this question. Which of the following courses exemplify congruent attitudes between faculty and technology administrators? A genetics course with an e-reader text that is Quality Matters certified and has course data showing consistent mastery of learning outcomes. A fundamentals course with journal articles that's been peer-reviewed and is asynchronous in design. Or a pathophysiology course that uses audio lectures, online learning consortium review, and blended learning to facilitate student mastery of learning. Or, of course, it could be all of the above. So think through those a minute. Yolanda, you've said D, and so I have to assume that you've seen a pattern in these. And Craig, you selected A, so what's your thinking between the differences between B and C?
Well, maybe I didn't see the pattern.
That's okay.
So I was leaning towards A and C, but not B.
Okay. You want to talk about what was different about B?
Yeah. I wasn't sure what the asynchronous in design meant.
Okay.
I know we talked before about you know, e-learning not necessarily being electronic. So I was kind of leaning towards B, but you know, B fakes me out, I guess.
No, I think you're bringing up a great point, and I put asynchronous in there to kind of throw people a little bit, because you would think that only a blended course or those with synchronous sessions would facilitate collaboration. And I think you have to have some of it to have really a social presence, to have that community of inquiry employed. But I think if you are, we have some virtual listeners today who are basically having this experience from a textual perspective. And there are faculty members who believe that a totally textual, asynchronous environment does not stimulate learning. I think you're challenged to have a lot of social presence. You have to really be involved in discussion boards to have to have it, but I think it can still be established. Is that what you were thinking, Yolanda?
I'm sorry, Ann. I didn't quite hear that.
Well, in terms of asynchronous, do you think you can still have a social presence with asynchronous learning?
Definitely you can, because you can have groups or have students do group work. You can have them do like blogs or discussions. So you can have a social presence in an asynchronous type of class.
Yeah, it just takes a little bit more work and follow through, I think, to have a true social presence. I think it just takes a little bit more engagement. In a synchronous session, we can kind of facilitate that effort with design, but I think it takes a little bit more effort. So good. Let's move on here. The answer I felt was all of the above, and one could argue for any one of those, but I think that the pattern was that there is some example of having a reduction in the cost of the textbooks, making certain that you have some sort of peer review, whether it's a credentialed group like Quality Matters or the Online Learning Consortium, I think, as long as there's some sense of peer review. And then making certain that there's some sense of coordination, teaching presence to stimulate the cognitive side of it with the participants. And those were the patterns I was I have to do a better job next time I try to teach this material. So mini lecture 2 comes under exploration. And it's the unique faculty perspectives that vary from the administrator's views. And they include lower quality outcomes, plagiarism detection, use of social media, and the use of online management companies. And so there's this kind of tug of war that goes on sometimes between faculty and administrators. Faculty provide lower scores, actually 17% versus 62%, for online teaching as achieving outcomes equivalent to in-person teaching. And so the administrators, 62% felt that online learning did achieve outcomes, but faculty don't think not so much. Things down to that. 63% of faculty believe that copy detection software such as the Turnitin.com deter plagiarism, but only 35% use the software. And overall, administrators just have a zero tolerance for policies or zero tolerance policy for plagiarism and support use of detection. I just find that really interesting. And then social media, 60% of faculty are concerned with controversial remarks that are made on social media, as compared to only 48% of the administrators. And then online management companies, those are outside management companies that actually do the course design and establish that the protocols and get all of the peer reviews or certifications in place for universities or schools to deliver programs. And 78% of faculty believe that universities should produce their own online programs as opposed to having the online management companies produce them. And overall, this will be no surprise, but administrators are budget oriented. So whoever can get the job done the most efficiently at the least amount of cost is what they're interested in. And the key points from Garrison were that application of the community of inquiry model and blended learning are what are the factors to improving outcomes. So social presence can be achieved through social media, according to Garrison. Garrison offered no views on plagiarism or online management companies, but did state that organizations must nurture e-learning in any way that they feel they can get it accomplished. So that's a real push for education via online learning as we move forward. And so let's validate your understanding of this material. with true false using green check mark for true and then red check mark for false. Overall, faculty are concerned with having the academic freedom to deliver quality education that requires rigor, honesty, and prudence of students regardless of administrators' need to produce profit. So true or, true or false? True, green check mark, false, red X. Good. Let's see. I did a better job with that. The answer is true. So mini lecture 3 is the unique administrative perspectives that vary from faculty views, and they include university reputation for in-person instruction, professional development, institutional support, and the support of Yik-Yak. The university reputation topic was that 20% of administrators think a strong reputation for in-person instruction is an important indicator of quality of online courses as compared to 49% of faculty. So faculty think you have to be able to teach in class, and if you do that well, then you can do the online education. Whereas administrators just think if you have a strong reputation, that's great. It's a good indicator, but they don't think it means as much as faculty do. They think you can do, they are two separate beasts, basically, is what administrators are saying. And then the professional development says that 70% of administrators have taken online courses for credit compared to only 27% of faculty. I thought that was interesting. Institutional support, administrators are more likely than faculty to view their institutions as supportive of online learning. And Yik-Yak, administrators do not view Yik-Yak as having caused controversy and do not think that access to Yik-Yak should be regulated. Are either of you familiar with Yik-Yak?
No. Familiar, isn't it like a kind of a grade group professor type of?
Actually, it's not. It's kind of a let's see if I've got this in the next slide. I've got a little video for it. Yeah, I'll go ahead and advance this slide, and maybe I can pull this up for you. I think it's interesting. It's more like a quick kind of like a Snapchat version of anonymous discussion among college students. So it's very, very popular. And let's see if I can, faculty just plain don't like it. If I can okay, so that's the controversy of Yik-Yak, even on college campuses, because we have latent adolescent student populations. And in an online environment, we also have the fact that the best we can do to accomplish social presence is to expect authenticity in the topics that we're discussing. But sometimes people are more than the topics. They bring a lot of factors into the classroom presence. So it's what we have to do to be aware of. And so in this particular survey, faculty were really against the Yik-Yak, but administrators felt that it was non-threatening or non-controversial. Key points from Garrison were that future directions are dependent on shared vision, best practice, improved infrastructures, making certain that professional development is occurring, collaborative leadership, and using more resources and research around the community as inquiry model. And to validate the understanding of the administrator perspectives, overall, administrators are concerned with transforming higher education toward community-centered learning via online programming if the system promotes its growth, preserves university reputation, offers professional development, and there's a rate of return which is measured in profit. True or false? Great.